Like a herdsman's fire blazing on autumn nights across the vast sea of the Puszta, the face of Miklos Toldi flares before me over 9 or 10 generations of antique time. I see, it seems, his towering form and the thrust of his lance in scorching battle. The thundering sound of his voice I hear you would now conceive as the wrath of God. This was the man when needed who stood his ground. There is no one to match him now in the 7 parts of the realm. If he were to rise up and walk among you, his works would appear a sorcery. 3 of you would never withstand the weight of his club, his sling or spear. Your blood would run cold at his terrible shield and the spurs he wore upon his boots. Canto 1. The sun shrivels up the sparse alkali flats. Parched herds of grasshoppers are grazing about. Not a new blade in all the stubble, not a handbreadth of green in all the broad meadows. A dozen laborers or so are snoring under the stacks. All their work is going fine, but the big hay wagons loiter there, empty or only half loaded with hay. A lanky sweep dandles its skinny neck into the well and spies for water. Imagine a giant gnat sucking the blood of old earth. Thirsty oxen mill around the trough, making war on an army of flies. But lazy-boned Laco hangs on the hands, and who's to scoop the water up? As far as the eye can see on bleak earth and sky, one workman alone is on his feet. A whopping side rail sways on his brawny shoulder lightly, and still not a trace of beard on his chin. He stares far, far down the road as though to depart this village and land for other fields. A live warning, you would have thought him, planted at the crossroad on a shallow hill. Dear little brother, why stand in the blazing sun? Look, others are snoring under the hay. The kuvaz, too, is lolling there, his tongue dangling out. Not for all the world would he go a-mousing. Or have you never seen a whirlwind like this? It kicks up the dust for a fight, licks the road at breakneck speed, a smokestack belching on the run. But no, he does not care how it sifts the road from end to end. Through a tower of dust erected by the wind, proud weapons glitter, proud troops ascend. A cloud of sighs rises from his heart like those hazy troops. And bending forward he stares and stares as though heart and soul were fixed in his eyes. Neat Hungarian cavaliers, shining knights, how beat and bitter am I to see you. Where are you bound? How far? Into battle? To gather flowers for a wreath of glory? Are you riding against Tartars, Turks? To bid them good night forever? Ah, if I too were only riding. Neat Hungarian cavaliers, shining knights. These were the thoughts that furrowed into Miklos Toldi's soul. His head churned, and his heart was wrung with sadness, because he too was the son of a knight. Georgi, his false brother, was reared as a companion of the royal heir. He lives it up in the royal court while Miklos mows and rakes with the hired hands. Here they come, the mounted men of the Palatine Laxvi, and at the head of his proud troops Andrei Laxvi himself. He sits with martial bearing on his fallow horse, braids of gold on his robe. In his train, dashing young men ride in fancy saddles on stamping stallions. Miklos stares and stares, not knowing his eyes are sore for staring so hard. "Hey, peasant, where's the road to Buda?" Laxvi asked disdainfully and cold. The word cut to Toldi's heart, which jumped so hard you could hear it. Me, a peasant," he fumes. Well, who but me is lord of this village and land? Maybe Georgie Toldi, my foxy brother, setting dishes at the court for King Louis? Me, a peasant, me? With that he brought down a terrible curse on Georgie Toldi's head, and then he lightly twirls the pole, grabbing one end like a little stick. With a single hand he raises it up, long and straight, pointing out the road that trails toward Buddha, arm hardening into iron, and himself. He extends the rough-hewn timber straight as a rod. When they behold Toldi with the long pole, the Palatine and all his troops look on astounded. This is a man in his own right, whoever he is, speaks Laxvi. Who will take him on, boys, or who will point like that, the sorry faggot this boy is using to show the road? What a come-down, what a shame. They mutter and bluster, but who dares to match a peasant boy? Who would ever enter the list with a thunderstorm, the wild and windy gloom? And who would joust with the fiery wrath of God, the flashing and sizzling shaft of God? Pick a fight with Toldi if you long for God's dear kingdom. And what a fate awaits whoever falls into his hands, wailing himself back into his dead mother's arms. They pass by in long, close lines. The whole army is talking about Toldi. Everyone has a good, kind word for him. Everyone turns him a smiling face. One says, "Friend, why don't you join up for the battle? Young men like you have a high price there, believe you me." Another says in pity, "Too bad your father was a peasant and you, dear brother, are too." The army passes, echoes die. One enveloped in dust, the other lofted on the wind. Toldi shambles homeward, deep in melancholy. The range trembles under his heavy footsteps into the far distance. His walk is a sullen bull's, his eyes the brown midnight. In his mad rage he blows like a wounded boar, the rail almost crumbling in his iron hands.